Hello, hello. Let me wait for the people to appear. Hello. Okay. We have 26, 27. I will wait for a minute more. And while we are waiting, so I would like to ask you to respond to how you feel in the chat box area. But this day, I will ask you to think of the word that starts with the same letter as your name starts. For example, so as I am Olena, and now I'm in high spirits, I may say that I feel quite optimistic today. Yeah, I feel optimistic. What about you? So, how do you feel? Think of the adjective that, on the one hand, reflects the way you feel, but on the other hand, starts with the same letter as your name. And leave comments in the chat box area. Okay. Tatiana, tired but not that much. Luckily. Darina, delightful. Then overwhelmed. Okay, ladies, so motivated, Maria. So, Darina, so I will ask you, so delightful. So, what accounts for this choice, apart from the fact that it starts with the same letter as your name?
It really reflects my mood today because I was on my pedagogical practice and I was teaching my students today, and I really delightful because
And you
everything
really like.
goes well.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if everything goes well, so teachers so always feel excited, so delighted, delightful, yeah, and so they are kind of like overwhelmed, but with positive emotions. Thanks a lot. Anastasia Ruda, alive, the funniest comment ever. So Anastasia or Nastya, could you please give comments?
So basically, it's just that recently I have and I had and still have a lot of things to do, and basically this busy schedule makes me feel alive because I can forget about my problems and just enjoy what I'm doing right now. Even though I'm exhausted, but still it makes me feel alive and makes me going on.
Yeah, there is also a nice saying in Ukrainian, I will translate that into English, that in case if you want to forget about everything, like all the problems, all your exes and whatnot, so you'd better be snowed under with work, yeah?
Yes, definitely.
That's
Yes.
what you do. Victoria Dovzhenko, vivacious. So could you please comment?
Yep, definitely. I have chosen this adjective probably spontaneously, and probably it means that I'm full of energy and enthusiasm as I had enough sleep today, so that's great. And probably I had great just lessons today with my students and at the university, so I'm really pleased with this.
Uh-huh. Okay, I know that our students, I mean, the students at our university, the students of the fourth year of study, they are having their school internship. And so that's what Darina has mentioned. So, right now. What about you? So, are you having school internship like our students, the students of our university?
Yep, definitely we do. And just it is already the second week that we are starting. We had 5 weeks practice.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So then, congratulations. So on the one hand, so that's a bit tiring. That so you will feel quite exhausted because of that. So and you will definitely feel like what it means to be a teacher. But on the other hand, in case if everything goes well, if it goes the way you wish and you like. Oh, you'll be pretty like enchanted by what you do and by that love that so these kids of different ages so will express and will show towards you. So thank you. So with this, we will start. I will start sharing my screen. And the very first thing that I would like to start with is kind of commenting. So there are three quotes related to the topic of our today's session. So may I ask so one of you to read for me not to do that? Are there any volunteers? So should I appoint the people? Victoria. Okay, do it, please.
Yep, today I'm quite active, I suppose. So the biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand, we listen to reply.
The next.
Then number 2, we have two ears and one mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. And number 3, listening is an art that requires attention over talent, spirit over ego, others over self.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So for pronouncing everything in like a perfect manner. Now in the chat box area, so like put the number that corresponds to that statement you like the most or you agree with the most. Just 1, 2, or 3. And be ready to give some comments in case if you're asked. Okay. First numbers appear from Lena, Katerina. Okay, just 2 people did that. Polina, Afroza. Thank you, ladies. What about the rest? There are a bit more than just 4 people.
У мене ще сета.
Okay. Mina. Most of you choose 1, yeah, or just the first quote. What accounts for it? So, Amina, can I ask you, so could you please tell me, could you please share why you consider the first quote to be the best for you personally?
To be honest, I really don't know. Because I think that as for me, I always listen a question, and in the same time, I think about what I'm going to answer.
So, like, does it mean that you've chosen this quote randomly, just without thinking what it truly means, or what?
Yeah, like that, I think.
Like that, yeah. Still, so let us ask someone to analyze what it means, yeah? So number 1, we have Anastasia Ruda, so who is luckily alive. I'm joking.
Today, yes.
I will laugh at it because like that was the funniest comment today. So Anastasia, could you please give
Yes,
your comment?
actually, I would say that all of these quotes are kind of similar because they share one similar thought that we need to listen not just for hearing something, but listening to understand something. But why did I choose the first one? Because basically, people try only to catch some keywords. They don't try to understand what we're talking about. They just thinking about how to answer it, what is the key point, not about what is going deeper than just the question. So our problem is that we don't know how to listen correctly, or even how to be an active listener in order to understand what's going on.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So pretty fair. We have a couple of 2s and 3s. So still, so okay. I'd like also to listen to one more comment from Halina Kovalenko. So Halina, could you please specify why you've chosen number 3?
Yeah, so in fact, I was hesitating between 1 and 3. I like them both, but finally I chose the third one because, so listening, it's really important skill nowadays, and besides, it's not so easy to listen appropriately and to listen carefully, and some people really need to learn how to do it. And I believe that I really like the idea that listening requires attention over talent, because we really should be focused on the person we're listening to. And also, I like the idea that listening it's about others, not about yourself. Because when you really want to understand somebody's idea, you should think about this person, about this person's ideas and attitudes, and you should be open to get it, to understand it, and you should put yourself to the background and put this person in the first place.
Okay, so and you should be in the shoes, yeah? You should act like being in the shoes of the
Yeah,
person
exactly.
you're listening to. That's why all of us do need to become active listeners. And as Anastasia has already mentioned, yeah, so we shouldn't just listen to like somebody without hearing that. We should hear what is said. So, and in case or whenever we listen to somebody, our aim is not just to transfer information. So, so to hand the information to somebody else. But the idea is that we should kind of like feel and understand what mood the speaker is in, yeah, how to help him. So we need to be emphatic. There are actually a lot of functions behind listening. Okay, thanks a lot. So as far as you understood, so yeah, and thanks to pre-session materials, so that hopefully you worked on, you now know that today we will talk about teaching listening. And if talking about agenda of the day, we will talk about listening as a receptive skill. We will also like talk about types of listening, then discuss top-down and bottom-up listening strategies. We will examine stages in teaching listening, and so in teams later on, by the end of the class, you'll be asked to work in breakout rooms in order to analyze some practical example of a listening lesson. You will need to consider and reconsider it, because so you'll be asked to suggest some sort of improvements. Okay, and right now I'd like to proceed to the slide with the question. So what makes listening challenging? It will be a kind of like brainstorming that will be done on menti.com platform. I believe all of you know how to use that. In case if not, then so I will like remind you of that. You will need to type in a search bar the word menti.com, and when it asks you like what you'd like to be done next, so would you like to create your presentation or to join the existing one, you will need to join the existing one, choose this option, and later it will ask you about the code. So here it is, so it's on my slide. Insert the code. And then, so you will get to the slide with the same question. And so I'd like to elicit that from you. I'd like you to leave some open-ended answers, yeah, so to the question. So suggest your ideas to that. So what makes listening challenging? Okay. So I will show you how it looks like. So that's exactly that page you'll need to get to, that slide. And you will have up to 2 minutes for you to leave these brief comments. This can be just phrases or like bullet points, bullet points. So, don't you experience any technical hiccups, technical problems? So is everything okay?
Personally, I have some technical issues because I need to register. I guess it is a must, yeah?
No, it's not a must. You don't need to get registered. No, just the very moment when you just type this, so in a search bar, menti.com. So again, I will repeat, it will ask you, so do you need to create your presentation? No, don't do that. Skip this step. So just join the existing presentation. So look for the word join. That's the only word you need now.
Okay, actually, I've tried and I don't know why. I can't write anything because it suggests me that like the presentation has finished. I have such a written
Yeah, you have reached the end of the presentation, and that's all.
The end of the presentation, what's going on?
and it's not possible to write anything at all.
So
Yeah, and I had the same situation. I just clicked the button like was view results, and now I can see the presentation, but I can't do anything there because I do not have an
Okay,
access.
so I kind of like reloaded the page. Could I ask you to like to do the same thing? So to try once again. If not, then we will use the chat box area. You know, like such things sometimes happen, they do happen. Still, I cannot identify what the problem is and why it arises. Let's give it
There is
another.
something with wrong with settings because we have only like a view only option. We
View
can't write.
only. Okay, just a moment, just a moment. Let me look for it. Так. So if it takes just a minute, I will try to fix it. But if it takes longer, then we will just use the chat box. Okay, and what if I just leave this link here? So try to get access to it through the link or via the link. Let's give it another try. If not, then we will use chat box.
The same.
Yeah,
same.
Olena Yurina, maybe could you please click the button like present? If you click the button present, and we try to reload our page.
So I've already
Yes,
done
now we can submit. So now we can work with it. I've checked it. Okay, so girls, now you
Thank
can
you.
add
Thank you. Thank you.
answers.
Ladies and gentlemen, so does it work now?
Do we have gentlemen? I don't know really. So I said.
So I don't know. Yeah, we had a couple of them previously. So actually, but I did not see anyone today. Still, you know, just I maybe they've appeared because at the very beginning of the class I did not see them.
I see. Maybe.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I already see the first answer. So a minute more. I will wait for all these answers to appear. And we'll start commenting. By the way, do you currently see or can you currently see all these replies that appear on the screen or not?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah. We have 30-something people today and just 10 responses, so that's why I'm still waiting. So maybe I will start. Yeah, I will start. So yeah, commenting on this. So pronunciation, we have some similar answers like pronunciation or namely accents, unfamiliar accents, you say. Then some slang words, connected speech, unknown words, unclear pronunciation, linking, frequent use of contractions. Yeah, so when students don't listen often, they don't have that listening skill or the so-called trained ear, accents, contractions, fast pace, speed, pronunciation, dialects. So actually, like what you've mentioned can be grouped, yeah, can be grouped into the problems with vocabulary because of unfamiliar, unknown words, problems with pronunciation or accents, then problems with some contractions when, for example, you do know the words, but in the connected speech, it's quite difficult for you to identify, yeah, so what is mentioned, it's difficult to identify the word boundaries. And quite a lot of problems happen just because of the fast pace, because there are speakers who talk kind of like indistinctively, or like who talk very fast, and like because of it, even seemingly simple words cannot be adequately identified by us, to say nothing, for example, of the kids, of these pre-intermediate learners. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing, for mentioning it. And right now, as you've mentioned, so many bright ideas, I would like you to work with this slide. That's so I will suggest. I've picked up, of course, we have a lot more problems, but I've picked up just 5 sentences.
I'm sorry, Elena, are you sharing screen? You are not sharing the screen, maybe, like, so we can't see anything.
Yeah. So today somehow Anna Yurievna has a lot of technical
Everything is
issues.
okay.
Yeah, it happens. So sorry, guys. So I believe that all of you can see it now. So there are a lot more, as I've mentioned, problems that we can have, yeah? So with these, while listening to somebody's speech or to somebody talking. Still, I've picked up 5 sentences that can illustrate what problems we can have. Let's analyze these sentences and please think of what causes these problems. The first one. Come along with me versus it's a long way. We have alone and a long way. What can be the problem here? Any suggestions? What can be the problem like with this? Alone and a long way.
So they can sound the same, if you,
Yeah.
especially if it is pronounced quickly.
Okay, so yeah, so if it's pronounced at a fast pace, yeah, it can cause a problem with word boundaries. So should we treat it as one word, or are these, for example, 2 words? Then, what do you think? So ideally, this sentence should sound like, what do you think? But at a quick pace, it can sound, why I think? Why I think? What's the problem here? Why do we have such a variant with
Connected speech.
So in the connected speech, right, you are, so what do we have? There are some...
It can be hard to understand. What is it?
Yeah, but because of what? Because of reduced, reduced sounds. Yeah. So because, for example, we no longer have t, we no longer have do. Instead, we have this like kind of sound y. Why I think. So like some reduced sounds. Then I have to get it. That's how this sentence should sound ideally, or at least that's the way it looks like visually. In connected speech, it can sound like, I have to get it. I have to get it. What's this? What kind of problem is here? On the one hand, we do have the sound f, but f instead of v. Why? Because here we have such a phenomenon known in lexicology as assimilation. Yeah, so v, so being influenced by t preceding sound, so becomes assimilated, and that's why we have I have to get it, have to get it. Then the next, what happened? So mind please that here we have what happened. What's this? Sounds similar to Cockney dialect, but that's actually can be the way how it can be pronounced in connected speech. What happened? No ideas? Just, I'd like to hear something from you, so there are no wrong or right answers. I do appreciate when you
Can I
talk.
share?
Uh-huh.
Okay, think, yeah, so if we learn, yeah, so English language in that standard way, so and we hear the words, so what happened, so we expect usually from foreigners to hear, so that at the end, so that letter T and that letter H. Yeah, but yeah, so as we noticed, yeah, the same Great Britain or America, yeah, so their dialects, yeah, so they differ a lot, yeah, and foreigners prefer to speak easier, yeah, so and to speak easier, so they prefer avoiding, yeah, so some letters, yeah, so and when we expect to hear so that word would, and instead of that we hear just war, so we probably that will cause some like misunderstandings, yeah, so probably we will hear another word and that will cause to problems in communication and in understanding, yes, of each other, and yes, at the end, yeah, communication will not be like successfully finished.
Okay, so thank you for such a detailed description. Yeah, such things mostly happen so in those situations when we are talking about some regional dialects. That's why so I suggested kind of like hint to you that so like in Cockney dialect that can happen. But even if the person so uses literally English. So in the context of this like fast pace or like talking at a fast pace, so he can like drop that and we call it a glottal stop. That's glottal stop when we just drop the consonants. Okay, and the last one. He went on an adventure versus he went on an adventure. He went on an adventure. What do we have here? What do we do? You see that on the one hand, we have the same number of consonants, but something changed. What do we call it? What do we call this phenomenon? It's linking. Remember, like from the previous classes of ours, perhaps you will recollect the sentences that we analyzed while when we dealt with vocabulary and grammar phenomena. So, and I told you that, so especially when we talk about different, for example, prepositions or articles, yeah, so we usually link it to the preceding, so to the preceding word. Or somehow like we link some words together and sometimes we pronounce them as one word instead of two or three. That's what happened here. Instead of he went on, we have he went on an adventure. Okay, so thank you. Thanks a lot. And so gradually we're moving to like listening and so to explaining the term receptive skill. So listening as well as reading, so are considered to be receptive skills. Why receptive? Let us analyze the word receptive. So what idea, what hints does it give us? Does it provide us with? Why receptive? Because while listening, okay, Maria, while listening,
we mostly like perceive some information.
Definitely. We like receive or perceive this information, definitely. But so they are highly essential, listening and reading, because they are used or they serve sorry, is it a question for me or just perhaps sounds as if somebody is talking? Okay, could you like mute yourself in case if you are not willing to say something right now? Okay, they serve as the basics for some productive skills, for such skills as speaking, for example, and writing. Whenever we are talking about listening, so like in methodological literature, you will come across or you can come across a number of different types of listening. So, and we will talk about all of them a bit later. But currently, I would like to tell you or just to mention that like all of them can be grouped into three categories. So like listen, so there can be listening, monitoring listening, intensive listening and listening for gist. In case if we want just to grasp the main idea of something without like going into details, it happens when we are listening just to, for example, to some story and we wish to get to know how it ends and we are not interested in details, or when we are listening to the anecdote for us to get to know like what it's all about. When, for example, we deal with, oh, sorry, that's a spelling mistake. So with some television or radio dramas or programs, and we wish to get to know like how everything ends. So in order to grasp the main idea, so we like listen to these types of things or programs, and we call it listening for gist. In case with intensive listening, it's not enough just to understand the general idea. Just imagine that you are watching the program where Yevhen Klopotenko is suggesting, for example, a new recipe for a Ukrainian borscht. And so he says that in case if you cook it based on this recipe, so it will be like the most delicious ever. What will happen if, for example, you are not quite an active listener, and if you skip hearing, for example, what ingredient should be added? Or, for example, what amount of, let it be, sour cream should be added? Will it be essential? Like that detail, is it essential or can we skip it?
It's essential.
It's essential. That's why in intensive listening, the key idea here is that it's not enough just to understand that Klopotenko will be cooking borscht, for example. Yeah, it's essential to listen to each and every detail. And in case with monitoring, because I believe that for quite a lot of you, it can be kind of like a surprising thing to get to know that there is such a type of listening as monitoring. And when and where do we come across it? For example, just imagine that you are doing something. Let it be you are cooking something, checking something, getting ready for your tomorrow's classes. Especially that's highly essential for all those who are now on their school internship. And so, of course, like you do not listen quite attentively to what is said, yeah, there. But here comes a word that that alerts you, that draws your attention. And since at that moment you think, oh, okay, I should listen to it. For example, somebody says what the weather will be like tomorrow. Or, for example, if you are discussing something in the classroom, so you are kind of like passive listener, you do not quite participate in somebody's conversation, but somebody mentions the name of your ex-boyfriend. Will it alert you? Will you start listening that very moment when you hear the name of your ex? Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Because like you'll be interested in that. That's why monitoring is a type of listening so that we may come across when we deal with some announcements, news programs. So it just like when we do not listen quite attentively or actively, unless we hear, or up to the moment, until we hear some information that will truly interest us. And as I've already told you, as I've already mentioned, we will now talk and discuss some other types of listening. Now, I'd like you to work individually for a minute or two. I believe that it will not take a lot of time, so the activity itself is not that time consuming. Could you please leave the key in the chat box area as to what type of listening should be matched to what definition? For example, we have listening for gist. So read these definitions and identify where the definition is that is interrelated with listening for gist. Do the same for listening for detail, listening for specific purposes, extensive listening, and intensive listening. Okay, and I will wait. Mhm. Так. Thanks a lot, Polina. Yeah. Thanks a lot. So yeah, so that's the correct key. Thank you. So because listening for gist, yeah, that's when we listen to try and get the general idea of what the text is about. Listening for detail, that's when we listen to try and extract the maximum meaning of every word in the text. Listening for specific purposes presupposes that we listen to the text only to find a particular piece or pieces of information. Extensive listening presupposes that we listen to a long text over a long period of time. And when it comes to intensive listening, we listen in order to examine a piece of language, for example, to study some grammar phenomenon, for example, to work on pronunciation of particular word. Yeah, so we usually deal with a piece of language. By the way, in methodological literature, you can also come across the cases when, listening for gist is also called, who'll tell me what's the other word for listening for gist that is used alongside with it? It's what do we call it?
Scanning, no?
So, scamming or skinning?
Scanning?
Skimming. Then, so listening for specific purposes can be treated as a synonym to intensive listening. That's why no wonder, yeah? So just do not think that it's just a mistake. Why is it so? As when it comes to intensive listening, so we need to analyze some particular pieces of language, to examine something, yeah. So very often, listening for specific purposes, not for specific purposes, for detail and intensive listening, so are given with the help of the slash, presented with the help of the slash. That's why no wonder if you come across these ideas. So it doesn't mean that there is some mistake about it. Okay, Polina, you've written general idea and put a question. So do you have a question to me? Because I cannot just identify or cannot understand actually what the problem is.
It was my suggestion for the listening for just alternative naming, but I was wrong.
Yeah. Listening for gist, it's listening for general idea. Yeah, so thank you. Thanks a lot. Right now, you will work for 5 minutes in breakout rooms. So here I've suggested the examples of some activities that correlate with the types of listening. Here we have those 5 that we've now worked with. So in breakout rooms, being assigned in breakout rooms with your partners or teammates, you will need to identify what is what. So I will provide you with the link. Right now, I will ask you to check if it's active and if it works. Do it, please, for me to be in the know if everything is okay. And if it's active, if you can see, the same exercise that I now show to all of you, demonstrate to all of you, then, so try to identify what activities go under the headings of listening for gist, listening for specific purposes, for detail, extensive listening, and intensive listening. You will have just 5 minutes for that. Okay. And later on, we will discuss everything in plenary. So is it active? Does it work?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Then we will ask Yulia Yurievna to assign you into the rooms. Thanks a lot. Actually, our experience showed that we lacked time. What about the rest of the teams? Did
We
you manage?
also. We too.
Yeah, the same thing happened to you. No problem. As we were going to all the same to deal with that in plenary. So okay, we will deal with that in plenary. But this time, okay, I will reload the page. And so we will do it once again. So to save time, so let us move either in horizontal or in the vertical line, just for us to take or just open all these pieces of the puzzle. The teacher plays a recording of a short story and asks learners to think of a suitable name for it. What's this?
Listening to gist.
Or gist. Then, students are asked to listen to a short conversation between two friends and find out what their plans for a weekend are. So friends are talking.
Listening for a specific purpose.
You need to identify what their plans
Maybe
are.
also for gist.
They're discussing. Yeah, they're just discussing their plans for a weekend. The teacher plays learners a dialogue from a supermarket and asks them to complete a gap fill with past simple forms. Here we deal with some language phenomena, and we'll need to
Specific purposes.
kind of remember I told you.
Detail.
Remember, I told you that sometimes listening for specific purposes can be also called intensive listening. Here, that's intensive listening. Why? Because we listen in order to deal with some language phenomena, some grammar forms, some underlined words, for example. Yeah, that's intensive listening. Then, students are provided with a transcript. They listen to an audio without looking at it. Then they are asked to circle all altered phrases. All the phrases that have been changed in the transcript and that differ from what you hear.
Listening for detail. Intensive listening.
Quite right. Learners listen to a short story in class, then write a summary of a story afterwards. If it's summary, then it comes about or deals with some
Gist.
Gist reading, yeah, so general idea, right, yeah. The teacher asks learners to listen to a short dialogue and on the printout of the tape script underline the words that are stressed by the speakers.
Listening for detail. Intensive listening.
Underline the words that are stressed. So,
Intensive listening.
yeah, whenever we are talking about pronunciation of particular words, get feeling with, for example, past or present tense forms or just ing forms, contracted forms. Yeah, so we have specific piece or just some specific language phenomenon or phenomena to deal with. Yeah. Then the teacher plays a recording of a person arguing about a bill in a cafe and asks the learners to write down all the prices they hear.
Also intensive listening.
Okay, so does it deal with some language?
Maybe for details. Specific information.
Specific purposes. Yeah, specific purposes. Actually, they can talk about a bit more things, but when it comes to prices, only the prices, yeah, should be picked up. Then that's why it's listening for specific purposes rather than listening for detail. In case when we deal with listening for detail, so we kind of like take notes of more details. In case with listening for specific purposes, we are looking for some specific information, but we do not necessarily need to mention each and every detail in the recording. Yeah, the teacher asks learners to listen to the audio about an airport announcement to come up with information about a flight delay, gate change, boarding instructions. Frankly speaking, if it's airport announcement, what else can be there apart from flight delay, gate change, boarding instructions? It's almost everything. So, what's this?
For detail. Listening for detail.
Definitely. A teacher reads a short poem aloud and asks learners to discuss what each line means. They are analyzing each line.
Listening for detail.
Definitely, thank you. The teacher asks learners to listen to the audio and mark the correct route on a simple map. So it's kind of like recording about traveling. So the students should listen and just pick up what places the person has been to in order to mark them on a map.
For
Specific
specific purposes.
Purpose.
Definitely. Perfect. Thank you. A teacher sets up an after-school film club, and just the students or learners are invited to come there and just watch these films. What's this?
Extensive listening.
Definitely. Thanks a lot. Students listen to a story or episode from a series and then retell it in their own words.
Extensive listening.
Then the teacher plays a recording of 4 housemates discussing money and asks learners to identify the names of the people in the house. Are we interested in anything else? A hint from me. Or just in the names? Okay, what kind of
Those
message?
specific purposes.
Yeah, right you are. Students listen to an audio about patients' complaints and take notes of all symptoms as well as a treatment plan. Take notes of all symptoms and treatment plan. For example, what
Details.
aches or pains you have, yeah, so and like the treatment plan. And the last one, students are provided with a transcript, they listen to an audio without looking at it, then they are asked to circle all altered phrases, all phrases that are changed, that differ.
Intensive.
So
Intensive listen.
because it deals with some language phenomena, definitely. So great, yes. And now we've got, so in the background, we've got some word strategy. Why strategy? What are your ideas? Strategy. Why do we have strategy? Because
We should have strategy how to teach listening correctly.
yeah, so perfect. Yeah, perfect suggestion. So like I will not even add anything. So I would like also to get to know if you know any strategies, yeah, in teaching, so in teaching listening. Do you know about some strategies in teaching listening? And what are they, if so? Okay, so I believe that I will have to show. There's a top-down and bottom-up listening strategies. Why are they called like this? So their titles themselves suggest, so like what is different? Actually, so in case when we are talking or when we deal with top-down approach, then we are moving from top to bottom. In case with bottom-up listening, we are moving from bottom to the top, vice versa. But we will deal with the same phenomena. The difference here will be just in what succession, in what chronological succession it will be done. So if you have a look just at these stages and the way how their information will be perceived, it will look like this. For example, in case with bottom-up strategy, we will have to first analyze particular sounds and phonemes. Then after dealing with this analysis, we will move to the word. Then the words will come up in clusters. They will make some phrases, then clauses and sentences. And through understanding of these isolated, so at first isolated sounds, phonemes, words, then phrases and clauses, we will come up with the understanding of what the whole text means. That's how bottom-up approach works. In case with top-down approach, we rely on the content in general or on our background knowledge. So to say, before we proceed to listening, we'll need to first of all set our students or our learners into the proper atmosphere. So we should rely on their background knowledge that will enable us to predict, for example, what the text for listening will be about. Then, so we will ask them to read, to skim through the text in order to find out some signs. It's called signposting. Signposting, that's when we kind of try to look for some key phrases for us to be able to identify them in the text, so that thanks to them, we could grasp the general or the main idea of the whole text. Then, so like we will analyze also particular phrases and and language, and ask the students to listen for detail, or sometimes, as I've already told you, it can be treated as intensive listening, in order to clarify in more detail some other phrases, words, and in order to understand, fully understand all the other details that are mentioned in the text. Okay, in case when we deal with bottom-up strategies, so how do the steps in this strategy look like? We recognize particular words and clause divisions, recognize the order in which they occur in the utterance, identify sequence markers, some transitions, keywords, the relations that exist between these key elements in the sentences, analyze the stress and intonation, so distinguish whether these sentences have positive or negative meaning, exactly, we just analyze, paying more attention to the to particular, as I mentioned, sounds, words, phrases, and later clauses, and then text. So from the analysis of language, we come to understanding of the text in general. In case with top-down approach, we kind of set our learners into the right atmosphere so that they would be at least aware of what the text for listening will deal with. So to say, if you start eliciting from them if they like sport, if they are keen on sports, like of what kinds of sport, and so on and so forth, then so the learners will be well aware that the audio file for listening so will deal with some, for example, some kinds of sport or sport in general. Yeah, so that's how it looks like. That's why whenever we deal with pre-intermediate and upper intermediate learners, which of these strategies do you think will be the best? In case if we're talking about like pre-intermediate learners, or just beginners, even beginners, which of these strategies would work better? So bottom up, yeah. So somebody is very, very shy, so I can hardly hear that, but still I've heard what you've mentioned. It's bottom up, because we'll need to analyze particular words, phrases, for them to be able to understand so the whole text. In case when we deal with upper intermediate, more advanced learners, so like sometimes it's not even needed to start explaining each and every word, because even if they do not recognize a particular word or a number of words so in the connected speech, thanks to this content anticipation, thanks to language anticipation and some introduction that was done before they proceeded to listening, they will be able to understand what the text is about. And just later on, if needed, you will clarify some particular words. Okay. So now also I would like to analyze this slide with you. So here you can see that whenever we are teaching listening, we will have almost the same stages, but so we will deal with them differently. Yeah, what do I mean? That for example, in case with teaching listening at higher levels, we will definitely start with some introduction stage. So we will set them into that atmosphere. We will, for example, provide them with some content, language, culture anticipation. Then they will listen for the first time. Later on, they will listen again for the second time, so in order to get to know more details. And after it, we will have some productive follow-up. So follow-up stage, or kind of like communicative stage. Usually we ask them some questions, or we ask them to discuss something, compare something. So to say, on the basis of this listening, we get them ready with so being able to talk, yeah, to speak, to express their opinion on something. Still, if you have a look at this sentence that I've prepared, here comes a funny thing. What strategy do you think will work, and which of them won't work here, in case if you were asked to present this sentence to your learners. The purple chair whispered loudly to the window while eating a sandwich. Does it make sense?
No.
No. So is everything okay here from the point of grammar?
Yeah.
Seems yes, yeah. You're a bit indecisive. Yeah. From the point of view of grammar, everything is correct because we can easily identify the subject, then the predicate, yeah. So everything is in its places. And so seemingly everything is correct. Grammatically, it's correct. But from the point of view of sense, it makes no sense. That's why, even in case if it were possible to apply here, tell me what kind of strategy. What strategy is possible? Yeah, it's possible to apply here a bottom-up approach because we can analyze each and every word, explain it to our learners, but unfortunately, so we such a strategy as a top-down strategy will not work here just because it will be impossible for us to think of any particular content behind it. There will be no idea of how to present it to our learners. And if dealing with this statement, we can only analyze isolated phrases. We can show them how, for example, how these words correlate, what is the connection between the words. But unfortunately, so there is nothing for us to show the content, nothing, for example, for us to show the sense, to talk about any background here. Okay, then whenever we are dealing with some receptive skills lessons, I will remind you that these can be reading or listening lessons. So they look like this. So they have lead in, pre-text discussion, pre-teach vocabulary stage. So like here it's stated reading or listening because it's the same, yeah? So for these receptive skills. Listening 1, listening 2, or listening for gist, listening for specific information or detailed comprehension, post-text discussion, and productive skills extension activity. Now just let us discuss what for do we need all these stages? What are the aims behind them? So what for do we need lead in? What for do we need lead in? Halina?
To present the topic and engage students into this topic, yeah. So for them to be ready, work with the text of a certain type and on a certain topic.
Or to set them into this proper atmosphere, yeah? Then pre-text discussion. Pre-text discussion, why do we need it? Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, only ladies today are present. Okay, pre-text discussion. Victoria?
Do you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Because I've joined with my headphones, so that's why I'm asking. As I see this, pre-text discussion is the idea for students to see why they need to read the text. Because just like, hey, we need to read the text, no sense and no interest from their side.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Then pre-teach vocabulary. Okay. What for is this needed? Olena?
To prepare students for listening or reading, so to make the task easier and ensure that they can understand more and recognize these words in the text.
And to avoid having some problems as well, yeah? So like supposedly like with these words that can block understanding. Thank you for this suggestion. Then listening for gist. Listening for gist. What for do we need this? In order to, okay,
To
Helena?
get the main idea of the text
To get the main idea, yeah. So to understand, so in general, what the text will be about. What for do we need the second listening? What for do we need the second listening? Victoria?
Usually we need to get some more details than to discuss.
Yeah, so yeah, to go deeper, yeah, to understand more profoundly what the text will be about. Post-text discussion. Okay, so we already listened to everything, so we like discussed the details and the main idea of the text. What for do we need this post-text discussion? Like role plays, discussions all the time. Afruza.
Maybe to discuss key ideas and clarify doubts and
Okay.
reflect. It's about reflection.
Yeah, it's about reflection. Thanks a lot. So it's about kind of like the chance of, or just the possibility of like drilling that vocabulary, for example. So yeah, especially if it was new. And so if you want it to be further used, about so reflection on some ideas mentioned there, because here, so the students are usually asked to compare something, yeah. So like find similarities, differences, so and that enables them to talk more. And productive skills or productive skills extension activity. What for is this needed? Is this stage needed? Okay, some ideas? So I've already told you that, so reading or listening, yeah, now listen, we're discussing listening, can be, so like the ideas mentioned, so in these texts for listening or for reading, so can be used as the basics, yeah, so kind of cornerstones, like for you to lead your students to some further discussions. Marina, so you have a suggestion, yeah?
Yeah, we need this final stage to move from receptive skills to productive and to give our students this opportunity to use the expression, the vocabulary, grammar structures that they have seen in the text or in the audio.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, so great suggestion. And here you have the full table, yeah? So with lead in and its aim generate interest. So, and it seems to me Halina so mentioned it. Then pretext discussion is needed to generate interest not just in the theme, but in the text itself and activate schemata. To help the students get ready to what they will listen to. Pre-teach vocabulary, so is necessary just for you to understand, like for you to like avoid all the problems, yeah, so prevent like the problems with the vocabulary items that can block understanding. So first and second listening will need are needed to orientate students to the overall content, and then to be able to go that deep into the context of what they will listen to. Post-text discussion gives an opportunity to respond to the content alongside with expressing your own opinion, and productive stage enables us to exploit the text for leading our students to further speaking or writing practice on the topic. Okay, and right now I will show you so the example of some just a moment of some listening lesson for pre-intermediate learners. Now again, you will have to work this time for 10 minutes in your rooms, yeah, in your groups, with your partners, with your teammates. What will you need to do? First of all, you will need to get acquainted, that's step number one. Get acquainted with the stuff provided here. Now, step two, you will need to identify the stages of the listening lesson and wherever possible, suggest improvements. Just say what you would do differently in case if you feel that something should be done differently. Of course, anticipating your possible questions, so I do believe that you will ask me about so the file with this receptive skill lesson framework. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to share, just a moment. I can't understand why I cannot open it. That's here. So I will attach it here in the chat. Okay, as well as I'm going to leave this file you'll need also in our group, Introduction to CELTA, so like our group chat. So that all of you could have it in front of you. Okay, I believe that you've got the files from me. If so, then so there comes high time for us to deal with this task. Mind, please, that you are not supposed to write anything or to leave comments on Padlet. You will have just so to get acquainted with these stages of the lesson, yeah? Identify them, then suggest improvements wherever possible, but you will do that through discussion. And I will ask you to take some, for example, notebooks of yours or some sheets of papers where you can write and where you can leave these comments. When we are back again in the main session, we are going to discuss your suggestions. And for this, I will ask you to appoint the delegate from each group of yours or from each team of yours, so that you could express the opinion of the whole group of yours. Okay. So, Yulia Yurievna, please assign us. Thank you. I believe that now I can start sharing the screen again, and in plenary, so we will have the discussion based on, first of all, on what stages you've identified here, and if possible, suggest some improvements so on this lesson on listening. Okay, so number one, so piece number one, what does it deal with? So let me elicit that from all of you. What is it about? What stage is it associated with? Victoria?
To my mind, it is listening for the details.
So listening for details. So that's why it's kind of like second listening, yeah? Or listening to, as we call it. Then, two. Information that is marked as like piece two. Now listen to the whole interview and decide if Kirsti's job is hard.
It's listening for the gist.
So listening for the gist. Okay, then go to Padlet page. Oh, okay, just a question to me.
No, it's okay.
Then, so we will analyze all of them. So in case if any questions arise, we will discuss them. I'm here like for that, yeah. So to help you like with clarifying all the questions that can arise. Number three, go to a Padlet page. You can see unusual jobs here. So if you zoom this picture in, you can have a number of other unusual jobs. Alexandra, what's this?
I think it can be or led in or pretext discussion, or it can be combined on one stage, maybe.
Okay, what other so what other participants think about it? Victoria?
I guess it's sort of post-text discussion or productive skills extension.
Productive skills extension. Yeah, definitely. That's productive skills extension. Yeah, because here we suggest a bit more professions, unusual jobs. So yeah, and they rank these jobs from most to the least unusual ones, comment on their choice, add new ideas to the list. Okay.
And why it can't be lead in, for example, or pretext discussion?
Can be. So,
I
yeah, but actually, so if we choose this to be a lead-in, what, okay, then we will have to kind of throw away one of the pieces here. So in general, it can work, yeah, it can work, or it can act as a lead-in discussion. But if we choose it to be a lead-in now for this sort of the lesson, then I believe that we will have no productive stage, yeah, no productive stage. Then, so piece 4 or extract 4, what's all this about?
It's within.
So it's a lead in, yeah, definitely. Is it kind of like content anticipation? Like, is it like pre-text work? What's this?
I would say it's content anticipation.
Definitely. So thank you, Polina. Then number 5, what is all this stuff about? So, okay, I will zoom in this picture, and here come all these questions, and suggestions of how to work with that. Ghost, haunted, tour guide, grave. Victoria?
I guess it's pre-teach vocabulary.
Definitely. So pre-teach. Then, and here we have 6 with some questions, some tasks. Listen to the first part of the interview and answer these questions. What is Kirsty's job and what city or cities does she work in? And here comes a question. Seemingly, we've identified the stages for content anticipation, pre-teach vocabulary, gist reading, listening, listening for some specific information, and then some activity for productive stage. And what's this? Then what's this? Victoria?
May I suggest such an option that we may listen to, have 3 stages of listen? Yeah, so we will listen 3 times.
So here, so you are asked to listen just to the first part of the interview.
Yeah, and it is the
here,
first element of this listen process, I mean.
okay. Okay, I will give you a hint, but still I would like to elicit a bit more from you. So Inna,
can it be for skimming? Just
can it be what?
for skimming? No?
For skimming, so can be. Okay, so I will help you with that because so I see that quite all of you have doubts concerning this. So in case like it can happen, yeah. So perhaps not all the teachers just try to draw your attention to it. So and it happens in rare cases, but there are examples of such lessons when you may have. The idea for like 2 ideas for gist listening. For example, here it comes listen to the first part of the interview, the idea for gist listening number 1, and after, because right now we haven't dealt with the whole audio file, yeah, we just dealt with a small, very small piece of it. That's why, so for those who were interested, I even inserted or embedded these links so that, for example, you could hear the recording or could hear the audio playing, yeah, so in case if you were interested. So here we have just a small part of this whole interview. That's why, so this idea is suggested as the idea for gist listening 1. Then they finally listen to the whole interview, but for the first time. That's the idea for gist listening 2. And only here we have listening for specific information. Yeah, so now when we've clarified all these questions, so I believe that you no longer have these questions, I'd like to elicit that from you if you have any ideas as to how we might improve this lesson. What can be done for it to become better? Mind, please, that it's a lesson for pre-intermediate students. Any suggestions from the teams? Olena?
maybe I have such an idea that maybe this audio would be too long for pre-intermediate learners, and it would be complicating for them to answer all the questions and to understand the whole of it. Maybe we should choose a bit shorter one.
Okay, so yeah, so with the existence of so many programs, for example, yeah, we can kind of like cut out some unnecessary pieces of this audio, shorten it, and we should also cut down on the number of questions that follow after, yeah, so afterwards. So the number of questions suggested for listening for specific for specific purposes. Okay, any other ideas as to what might be improved? Okay, if talking about lead in, wouldn't you like to add anything here? Okay, so here comes, as you mentioned, it seems to me that it was Helena who mentioned it, that it should be, or Polina, that it should be content anticipation. What are the types of anticipation, do you know? Language anticipation, yeah? But we kind of had this pre-teach stage, that's why we just omitted it. There is also culture anticipation. Would it be possible to implement it here? Culture anticipation related to to the traditions of some countries, cultures, nations. You might have asked them some questions, for example, about whether we have these ghost tours, like in Ukraine, whether they are popular in some other countries, yeah? So perhaps like you might have also asked them if they are in the know of what Guy Fawkes Night is, yeah? When, for example, quite a lot of people are invited to kind of investigate what is so in the what is on the basement floor, yeah, so under the parliament. So okay, then any other suggestions? So here you had doubts as to whether these questions might be used as the lead-in, or, for example, this can serve as the ideas for the productive stage. Okay, how would you change it? Those who recommended to turn it into a lead-in activity, then what changes would you have? Victoria?
It wasn't my idea actually, but I can assume that we may start asking our students what unusual jobs do they know, then present them this, just have a small talk there, and then continue talking about these ghost tours and what kind of Kirsty job has, and introduce that this is also a sort of unusual job.
Yeah. So because like actually this whole audio is about the job, yeah, unusual job of a ghost tour guide, a lady who organizes and arranges like these ghost tours for all those willing, for both the foreigners and her compatriots, yeah. So like, and she says that she likes the work, likes her job immensely. Okay, so thank you for Marina. Marina, so any suggestions from you?
Yeah, I would also like about the idea to add about the idea of transforming the third into lead-in. I think it can motivate and interest the students to learn about some unusual professions, and actually it can be done not in breakout rooms or not by themselves in groups, but together in class, so to make it easier for them.
So this lesson was aimed at pre-intermediate learners who have this distant education or distant classes. Yeah. So yeah, of course, it can be adapted and adjusted to the needs of all those people who work offline in the classroom. Definitely, yes, definitely. So here, like the idea was so that it's aimed at all those who work online, like me and you. So in case if these questions, and so these ideas were chosen to be the lead-in ideas. What might you suggest then for a productive stage? Because here comes a question. If you take it to be so the lead-in questions, what will you have for the productive stage? Alina?
We can suggest to find the information about any other unusual job and write down like a short description of it. And we can do an activity, for example, when students write a short description at home and then they present it in the class and other students should guess how
so
to call this job.
A perfect suggestion. Yeah. So thanks a lot. So thank you. Thank you for this so productive work. So thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. So I do appreciate so it whenever you are here, whenever you are like presenting your ideas. So that's that's quite essential. Okay. And with this, so we will quit today. So so our lesson has come to an end. But I hope to see all of you in a week because during the next class we are going to talk about teaching reading. Yeah, so teaching reading. So good luck to you. So enjoy the rest of this day. So and see you in a week. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.